I thought that I would do this video right now while everything's still fresh in my memory. And just a heads up that this video might get long. It's been an incredibly weird week, and especially today was just, it feels, I don't know, it's just not what I expected to be doing when I woke up. And I have a video coming up here pretty soon that I'll have to explain, but basically we have had a lot of rain the last 2 days. The average rainfall for June in this area is 60 millimeters. And that's for the entire month. And within the last day or so, we have gotten, in my area, we've gotten 100 millimeters. And in the foothills, they've gotten 150. And of course, that, combined with the spring melt-off of the ice packs in the mountains, is making the rivers overflow. And they were already quite high because of the spring melt-off, so this just overran them. So we've had a lot of flooding, incredible flooding, and I'm just going to show you the video here pretty soon. This river is the Highwood River, and there are 12 different communities that have declared a state of emergency in southern Alberta, including Calgary. Because of the flooding, and it's the worst flooding I think we've ever had in Alberta, and the worst isn't over yet. All of these pictures were taken at the beginning. When I woke up this morning, nobody was talking about a potential flood. It should have been, it was a shock to us. We knew that with the rain that the rivers would be quite high, but we never had any idea that it would turn into this. So this video should be starting, there it goes. You can see that the river is right up to the sidewalk, or the bike path, I guess. And normally, I'm going to take you guys back to this same river when everything goes back to normal, and you can see what level it should be at, and you can compare it, because I've never ever seen it like this. And basically, I woke up this morning and I was driving into the city to get my uniform for my security job, and I was quite early. So I stopped off in this town called High River, and I've gone camping here many times as a kid, and I like to just walk along this bike path sometimes. And so I decided I would do that again, and I got a little bit of a shock when I got up to the top and saw the river and how high it was. Well, was a random duck that was pretty brave. Uh, uh, People always talk, I always hear about floods on the news from all around the world, where they say that they couldn't believe how fast the water moved and how quickly it changed. And it's so true. I mean, it's this video. I walked down here. It took me about 5 minutes of filming, and I started walking back. And you can see it now, that same spot that I was at in the beginning of the video. The river. This is the first time that it started to breach the bank, and it started to overflow. And it started flowing down into a campground. There's a campground down there. And almost nobody was evacuated yet, because nobody was expecting this. I mean, they knew that we were going to get a lot of rain, but they didn't expect we were going to get as much as we did. So anyways, when I walked back and I saw that it was already overflowing, I kind of figured that it was time to get out of there. And so I got to my vehicle, and by the time I got to my vehicle, which was about 2 minutes away from the spot, if you guys have seen the Titanic, where they see that stairwell and the water is just gushing down, there are several steps leading up to this bike path, and that's what it was. I mean, the water, how fast it rose, was incredible. And nobody knew that it had breached the banks yet, so I called 911 and told them about it. And, I mean, I really never even thought about the river being high from all of the rain. I just didn't think about it. So anyways, I decided that I wouldn't go to get my uniform. I would stay there and help. And so I figured that, well, I listened to the radio, and they started announcing that they were setting up emergency shelters and they were looking for volunteers. And so I thought that I would go there and help out. And I'm going to take you back to this town after everything has gone back to normal, and I'll show you what happened, because it was like out of a Hollywood movie with how fast this thing went. I mean, from that, I didn't get any other new pictures because I was busy, but I've been posting different videos on the Facebook channel. Every time I tried to leave and go down a certain street that was completely dry before, and that is a very far it's very far away from the river. It was completely flooded, and the water was starting to take the cars away. It was starting to sweep them away, and there were people that were running down the streets. It seriously seemed like a Hollywood movie or something. And so anyways, there's one couple that was close to me, so I started backing up, I gunned it down the street, and every street I looked down was flooding. Finally, I managed to find one street that was bare, and I started moving back up again towards the main road. And I looked down one of the main streets and saw this torrent of water. And where I was, it's so far away from the river that, I mean, as soon as I took that video that you guys just saw, it must have just started gushing over like no other. If I had stayed there for probably 20 more seconds, I don't think I would have gotten, I think I would have been in some trouble actually. I got incredibly lucky, and actually got incredibly lucky that I got video of it when it first started to breach the banks of the river. By the way, this picture that you're seeing right now is in Canmore, and that's another place that's in a state is getting screwed over right now. And the top picture is the day before. The bottom picture was today. And that top picture was still after quite a bit of rain and spring melt-off. Normally, this Cougar Creek is nothing more than a little trickle of water. I mean, it's usually nothing. It's just in the springtime that you'll sometimes see water because of the spring runoff. So it's just nuts. Anyways, I got as many people onto my car as I could, and I gunned it towards a safe area to I was at the high school, and to drop them off. And my fire department was getting called in, so I asked them to bring my gear and my stuff, and I waited for them. They got me, and we went to work trying to get people up by any means necessary. I mean, for the most part, we were using graders and front-end loaders and dump trucks to go in and haul people out. And you'll see in one of these pictures that I got off of I didn't take it, but I took it off a news agency's site. But they were using combines to go in and bring people out. You'll see it. But 90% of this town is underwater. And it's just weird to see all of my area, all of these towns, because I recognize all of them. And I know the area, and I know the people. It's just weird to see. Also, 2 people were killed in this as well. It's upstream of this river, about 20 kilometers upstream. A couple was in their RV, and the RV was swept into the river in the early morning. And they're presumed dead. I mean, they tried searching for them, but it would be impossible to find them. So they're presumed dead. And there have been resources to help, which I don't think I've ever really seen in my area. It's just been a very weird day. So I've been working. Well, I've been off. We switched off for about 6 hours, and in about half an hour, I'm going back out because the worst of it hasn't hit yet. They're getting more rain in the foothills, which is adding to the problem. And it's just weird because this was a flash flood, and I mean, even the older generations are saying that it's the worst that they've ever seen, because these types of rainstorms are not that common. It's usually very dry, and it's not like it's impossible to flood, especially this river, but never has it flooded this bad. 90% of the town is underwater, and there are still a lot of people that are stuck out there. So we're using anything we have to get to them, and the water is still rising. It's not expected to peak for another 2 hours. So it's still rising, and I mean, I wish I could have gotten video, or I wish I could describe it better, because it really was like it was in a Hollywood movie, and I don't think I've ever had so much adrenaline pumping through my veins. And as horrible as this situation is, we've rescued a lot of people, which is a great feeling, and you see people coming from all over the place to help in any way that they can. This picture is Camrose again. This is a main highway. This is the Trans-Canada Highway that goes from Western Canada to Eastern Canada. It's a major road, and it's washed out from a creek that I don't know if I've ever actually seen water in it. I go by this town a lot, and I don't think I've ever actually seen water in Cougar Creek. So, it's just the weirdest situation, and something that I never expected to really deal with. And we never have been trained for the fire department for this type of situation, so we're kind of improving it, and we're just using any tall machinery that we can to get people out. And another thing is that this week has been so nuts, because at the beginning we've had a series of severe thunderstorms with multiple tornado warnings, and funnel clouds, and heavy rainfall in those. I don't think I've ever seen so much rain in my life. It's weird. The good thing is although 2 people have been killed, it could be a lot higher, given the fact that it was a flash flood and nobody was really expecting for it to happen. And this place, Camrose, is near Banff. And Banff may also be flooding as well. And right now is kind of the tourist season. So there's a lot more people around, and it just adds to the danger. Another thing is there were 2 firefighters that, well, one of them is on my fire department too. He's also on this one, on another one. And I wasn't here for this, but I was at another place. But him and another guy tied themselves up and were swimming out to an elderly woman who was trapped on top of her car. And the ropes broke and they got carried away, both of them. And when you hear that come over the radio that 2 firefighters have just been swept away, I thought that they were dead instantly. But luckily, by that time, the Army helicopters had begun their search and rescue, and they spotted them and followed them along the river until another team of firefighters could throw them flotation devices and managed to save them, which thank God. And then the Army helicopter went back and picked up that woman that was stranded on top of her car. So, I'm probably going to make another video about this because it's much bigger than I was really anticipating it was going to be. It's just so hard to describe. But I gotta get going here, so I will upload this in a couple of days. And then a couple of days later I'll probably talk about it again. So anyways, the entire town was evacuated, and a lot of them were, my grandparents lived in this town, and luckily they got out safe. Their home is pretty much gone now, but at least they're safe. Okay, so it's now June the 22nd, and it's about 4 o'clock in the morning, and my county just issued a emergency alert or whatever, because there are a series of canals and rivers and a very large lake reservoir in my county, and in order to relieve pressure on all the other communities, they're opening up the floodgates on those dams, and that means that it's going to flood in that area. And there are some pretty big campgrounds and a small little resort down there that any second now we're going to leave and start evacuating people, because they've already opened the gates and it'll be there in about 2 hours. So we'll be leaving here pretty soon. I just thought that I would do this quick update for you guys. This picture is downtown Calgary. It's started flooding. And then the second picture, I know that firefighter actually. He's on a different department. guys, and I want to tell them before I forget some of the details and whatnot. Another thing is that the army, they've sent in 2,000 soldiers, several helicopters, including, they also got a Hercules aircraft. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that, but it's been circling around and spotting people. In this town that I've been in, they've rescued 200 people from rooftops. And unfortunately, they've found another 2 bodies in this town. And so that brings the total people killed in the flood to 4. These 2 people that were killed did not listen to the evacuation orders, and flash flood killed them. So, anyways, I'm gonna get going here, but I thought that I would just upload you guys. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm really tired. I thought I would just update you guys and upload this before I leave. Yeah, so thank you guys for listening. Listening to this very long video, I'm pretty sure. I think it's almost 27 minutes long.